Diagnostic test.
You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions. Also, there will be a chance to check your answers at the end. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to fill in your responses on an answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a customer and a receptionist from a tennis facility about membership. First, you have some time to read through questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation which this example refers to will be played first. Good afternoon, King's Place Tennis Courts. How can I help you?
Hi, I play tennis and am interested to know more about your facilities, lessons, fees, and so on.
Okay, that's great. Well, we are the biggest tennis facility in the local region, and we have 2 badminton courts as well. The man says that they are the biggest tennis facility in the local region, and they have 2 badminton courts as well. So badminton has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because the recording will not be played again. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5. Good afternoon, King's Place Tennis Courts. How can I help you?
Hi, I play tennis and am interested to know more about your facilities, lessons, fees, and so on.
Okay, that's great. Well, we are the biggest tennis facility in the local region, and we have 2 badminton courts as well.
I don't play badminton, so I'm more interested in your tennis facilities. How many courts do you have?
In terms of tennis, we have 15 courts. Most of them are outdoors, but we have 2 indoor courts too. We also have a few machines for practicing returns, and a device for measuring the speed of your serve.
Oh, that's good. Also, I may need some equipment. Do you have a shop there? There are a few things I still need to buy.
We do. We have a pro shop where you can buy high-quality rackets and tennis balls.
That's good, as I do need to pick up some new balls. And could you tell me about the lessons? Oh, I don't have very much experience.
Well, if that's the case, we have a few classes that may be appropriate. There's one class for complete beginners, which is once a week for 2 months. Sorry, my mistake. It actually takes place twice a week and involves working closely with our instructor.
I wouldn't describe myself as an absolute beginner.
Well, the next level up would be the Beginner 2 class. That's a bit less intense, only once a week, but the teachers work very closely with you. Then there is the intermediate class, which is very popular and allows you to play full games in a charity tournament at the end.
I'm not actually sure where I would fit in, to be honest. I've played in a competitive tournament, but it was just a bit of fun.
Well, you can meet with our instructor and he can play a game with you to determine your level.
Okay, will do.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you can read through questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10. Now, what kind of membership are you interested in?
What's on offer? I want to play often, as I'm semi-retired and looking for a way to keep fit.
Our most comprehensive package may suit you then, as it includes unlimited access to all facilities and priority bookings for tennis courts, while everyone else has to join a queue. You also get discounts on products in the pro shop and on tennis lessons.
Well, that does sound good. How much does that package cost?
That would be £130 per month, but since you are joining for the first time, we can offer you £10 off to make it £120, and we can bring it down to £100 if you have a friend join.
Wonderful! Although I don't have anyone I can think of to invite, so I'm still not sure I could afford that option. What are the cheaper packages?
I would recommend the learner package. With this, you will get access to all the tennis courts, but you have to pay extra to use the machines. You can use the changing rooms and the pro shop, of course, and you will also get 10% off the classes, all for only £90 per month.
Okay. Well, let's go for the learner package.
Great. And when would you like to come down for your trial with our instructor?
Would today work?
Let me see. No, our instructor is fully booked today. How about tomorrow at 11 a.m?
Can't do 11. It would have to be 12 at the earliest.
Okay, we can fit you in then, so just call back to confirm once you know for sure.
Of course.
You can ask for me, Daniel Elliott. When you come tomorrow, please bring some form of ID and... That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 2. Section 2. You will hear a guide at a natural history museum talking to a group of visitors. First, you have some time to read through questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're very happy to welcome you to the Museum of Natural History today. My name is Patrick, and I'll be your guide for today's tour. Before we get started, I'll first go over a few of the museum's highlights. To start with, our dinosaur exhibits are some of the most popular in the museum. These include actual skeletons and remains from these prehistoric animals. There are also numerous interactive displays which share information about the different dinosaur species. And be sure not to miss the life-size replica models of the colossal Tyrannosaurus and Brontosaurus on exhibit just beyond the prehistoric timeline display in the main foyer. We have a few amazing displays about ocean life as well. Our life-size model of a blue whale is in the main courtyard, and we have a spectacular under-the-sea room, which includes lots of models of fish and mammals. Our dolphin display is possibly our most famous. It draws loads of people to see actual-size models of the creatures and learn about how they swim. We also have a display about fish evolution, which is especially interesting as it shows how they started as simple organisms and developed into complex species. And we have a very interesting display focusing on the life cycle of sharks. It shows how they develop from an embryo in an egg until they are fully grown, and features models of infant sharks, adolescents, and fearsome adult hunters. And then there is our plant life exhibit, which is contained in the museum's indoor botanical garden. Colourful and rare species of plants, trees and shrubs have been imported and put on display for you to view, including specimens from the Amazon rainforest and the tundra of Greenland. We are proud to house the country's rarest assortment of wildflowers, many of which you can grow yourself with seeds from our shop. One special area of note is our activity zone, which has several interactive displays and activities. You can watch a short film on the evolution of our human ancestors, showing how we evolved through time. And also check out our stage area, which hosts a variety of interesting presentations, demonstrations and talks throughout the day. In addition, visit our 3D planetarium, where you can view incredible images of the stars and universe.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you can read through questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Now, I'd like to tell you a bit about the building before we get started. Where we're standing now is right outside the ground floor lobby, where you are welcome to purchase tickets for any of our special exhibits taking place today. The ticket counter is just to the right as you come in the main entrance. Opposite the ticket counter, across the foyer, is the information center. You can go there if you have any questions. All of the exhibits and displays are located on the first and second floors of the museum, but we have a few other facilities situated on the ground floor here. While food and drink are not permitted in the exhibit areas, there is a cafe on this floor. Just go straight through the main entrance, turn right down the corridor, and it's on your left. If you want to leave your coats or other belongings somewhere while you look around the museum, you can visit the cloakroom, which is between the cafe and the ticket counter. Now, if you turn left from the main entrance and walk down the corridor past the information center, before you come to a corner, you will find our children's activity area, which has some toys and educational materials for your kids to play with. The gift shop, where visitors can buy souvenirs, is located down the corridor at the rear of the building. From the foyer, head down the corridor on the left. Turn right when you pass the children's activity area, and then take another right. Walk down the corridor and the gift shop is the last door on the right before the stairs. For today only, we're giving away free dinosaur t-shirts in a raffle which you can enter at the gift shop. All right, I think we're ready. So please follow me through these doors and get ready to marvel at the wonders of natural history.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear a conversation between two students and a psychology professor about a research project. First, you have some time to read through questions 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
So, what have you come up with for your research project topic?
Well, Tracy and I have been thinking about focusing on the benefits of art therapy for different age groups.
I see. Why did you choose that topic in particular?
Raymond and I thought it would offer an interesting perspective. Art therapy helps people of various ages in different ways. It might be good to explain that to our class.
We've also discovered a large number of studies about art therapy sessions conducted with particular age groups. The topic would be easy to research as there are a lot of sources out there.
Okay, that seems reasonable. So, what have you found out about the effects of art therapy on different age groups?
There is an interesting study about art therapy in preschool children. Creating art not only encourages them to be creative, but an extra benefit is that it helps to develop their hand-eye coordination and other motor skills.
Yes, and it also helps improve their attention span and cognitive ability.
Okay, that sounds interesting. What about the effects on other age groups?
With adolescents, there is one study that reveals art therapy improves their ability to talk to people. Therapists working with teenagers suffering from depression found that they were able to communicate the issues they face through their art, which helped them express these feelings verbally.
And there is lots of other research too, which shows the benefits of art therapy for adults.
What sorts of benefits did you discover specifically?
We read a study on adults coping with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. These people had all dealt with a serious trauma, and art therapy was a significant part of their healing process.
We also researched studies showing that art therapy improves the memory functions of senior citizens. If I remember correctly, doing artwork requires the use of both sides of the brain, which improves both short and long-term memory. Art therapy works really well for those losing their memories due to Alzheimer's or dementia.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you can read through questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
That's all excellent. It sounds like you're off to a good start. How are you collecting your data?
Mostly online journals and websites. However, I have scheduled some interviews with a few psychologists to find out from them what they consider to be the greatest benefits of art therapy for their patients.
Excellent. It's important to get the perspective of art therapy practitioners, and you'll get lots of practical information conducting the interviews as well. I think you will have a wide range of materials available for your project. Now, do you have any concerns so far?
It seems like there will be a lot of material to cover if we include data about each age group. I'm not sure we'll be able to fit everything in considering the time we have left.
That is quite true. In that case, there are some ways to narrow down your research. For example, you may wish to compare the benefits of art therapy for preschool children to those experienced by senior citizens, because the therapies provided to both age groups are fairly similar.
You mean in terms of the activities they do?
Yes. Often, preschoolers and seniors are given sketchbooks and asked to draw how they feel that day. The younger patients take to drawing very quickly, but the older ones can be reluctant and often struggle to come up with ideas. They are more likely to produce abstract expressions of how they feel, whereas preschoolers will often draw things they see around them.
Oh, yes. I also found that both age brackets participated in a lot of group therapy sessions, and the benefits were similar for patients from both groups. The sessions included interacting socially with peers, which in both cases stimulated better thought processing.
That's an excellent point to include. And another method that is being used more frequently with both these age groups is art therapy sessions that incorporate music. Several studies have been done on that, and the results are very interesting.
Oh, I've heard about that. There are several ways music is used. One involves patients drawing or painting how the melody makes them feel, and it can be a very effective means of getting rid of tension. Yes, we should definitely look into that technique, Tracy.
Well, then let's look into the existing research on art therapy using music and start compiling some data.
Great! It sounds like you're headed in the right direction. So we should try to schedule our next...
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear a lecture from a professor in a history class about the development of railways. First, you have some time to read through questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Last time, I briefly introduced our next topic, which is the development of locomotives and their effect on history. We looked at the invention of the first locomotive by Richard Trevithick in 1804 in Wales, and I explained the basic concepts and designs of the first locomotives. Today, I'd like to move ahead and discuss the development of trains and railway systems thereafter. Trevithick's locomotive was not a financial success, unfortunately, but there was modest development of small rail systems in Great Britain after that. However, it wasn't until the early 1830s that large-scale railway construction began. And this was mainly due to industrialization sweeping across Great Britain, which increased demand for faster and cheaper transport. Centres of industry which contained new factories needed connections to port cities, where manufactured products could be shipped abroad. Likewise, raw materials needed to be sent to manufacturing plants. And it wasn't just in the UK that railways were being built, but all around the world, and this caused international trade to grow at a rapid rate. The mid-1800s saw an explosion of railway construction on large land masses. Continental Europe was also seeing an explosion of train rails because of the demand of industrialization. Rail transport spread around the globe quickly, notably in North America. In the US, some rail projects began in the early 1800s, but it was not until the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad in 1828 that a railroad fully connected cities in an entire region. It was also the first railway to be totally open to the public, rather than for a limited clientele. Canada also joined in and began building railways extensively in the 1850s. The discovery of gold in the western part of North America offered an additional incentive, and by the end of the century, The US and Canada each had built transcontinental railways connecting the east and west coasts. In the 20th century, there were several historic occasions that affected railway construction. Most early trains ran by coal-powered steam engines. But in 1912, the first diesel-fueled engine was introduced, which allowed for larger weights to be transported at faster speeds than ever. Long-distance land trips, which had previously taken weeks or even months, could now be accomplished in just a matter of days. Railway construction continued at a fast rate, as demand was growing for both commercial transport and passenger transit. The occurrence of World War I and World War II slowed down the growth of railway systems a bit, as often they were military targets and required reconstruction after being destroyed or damaged during battles. But another period of rapid growth occurred in the 1950s, as Europe and other parts of the world rebuilt following the aftermath of World War II. Following that, trains were the most popular method of land transportation, until usage of automobiles and aircrafts became more widespread and popular. So, why did train transport experience such rapid growth and success within such a relatively short period of time? Before locomotives, land transport was primarily limited to wagons pulled by animals. Travel times were incredibly long, making trade rather expensive and difficult. So world trade, even trade within the United Kingdom, was limited. Industrialization drove the development of railways as the period demanded larger quantities of materials and a better way to transport products. Manufacturers insisted on having a way to transport their goods more rapidly and cheaply to consumers or centers of commerce. And because of that, consumers started seeing a drop in the cost of manufactured products. Another reason rail systems grew so quickly, for Europeans and the British in particular, is that they allowed countries to have greater control of their colonies around the world. Soldiers and military equipment could easily and quickly be moved to wherever they were needed. Needed supplies were easily transported across great distances to more remote areas. Were it not for rail systems, control of foreign territories would have been impossible. And these days, the popularity of passenger trains continues to grow, and they have become even more innovative and cost-efficient. Cleaner fuels are being used, and with the development of electric trains, railway systems are more environmentally friendly. These days, we have very sleek and modern trains in many countries that travel at speeds of up to 430 kilometers per hour. And now we are seeing the further construction of electromagnetic train systems, which run on perfectly clean energy. Rapid development of advanced railway systems in East Asia and continental Europe have made trains the most popular method of travel in those regions. Many believe that trains will become the most popular form of transport in the future, as they are fast, efficient, and affordable. Now, before I talk about some of the positive and negative historical consequences of railway development, I would like to briefly... That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test. Please take 10 minutes to fill in the answer sheet with your responses. You now have 2 minutes left. You now have 1 minute left. You can now stop and wait while the question booklet is collected.